Hello and welcome back to 10 Minutes USA. I'm Chuck. Let's get into this one. Car repairs. People, cars today are so overly complicated for no other reason than greed. The car makers are finally, I guess, listening to the whiny crybaby dealers that they want you to have to bring your car back to them, and you're at their mercy, and it's stupid. I mean, here's another one I heard, and this is craziness with Tesla cars. Elon Musk. I was working with a guy before I left the last company I worked for, and when the Model 3 come out, he was one of the first ones to get one. He was on a waiting list, put some money down. Anyway, long story short, he said, yeah, when you buy a car from Tesla, you have to sign paperwork and you have to agree that you'll never file for a lemon law. Even if you get a lemon, you get a piece of junk from them. You'll never sue the company. You basically waive all your rights in order to buy, and if you don't agree to this, they won't sell you the car. I said, you kidding me? He goes, no, that's the way it is. I said, I said, I wouldn't buy one then. You're going to waive all your rights just to buy one of these electric cars? You're crazy. So, the other problem with the same operation, Tesla, is, and I hear this from guys that are still mechanicking for a living, they said you can't get any information on them. There's no repair manuals. They got you locked into a system where you have to bring it back to them, period. I hear other mechanics saying they're trying to get, information from Tesla so they can work on these. They don't want you working on them. They want to. So basically, you don't even own the car. You waive all your rights to any problems you might have with the car, or they won't sell it to you, and then you're locked into the only place you can go to have it repaired or worked on is them, and they're going to charge whatever the hell they want. That's a monopoly, I think. Anyway, that's enough for him. Let me get to this my experience. Before a few years ago, I bought my wife a new Toyota RAV4, but before that, she had a 2009 Honda Civic. And it was a pretty good little car until it came time to do just regular maintenance on it. And I do all the maintenance on my own vehicles and her vehicle. Okay. So, I don't know, both cars, her car and my car, they both had 70,000, 80,000 miles, and they never had the serpentine belts changed. So I said, all right, I'm going to change both belts. I go down and get them. And I said, all right, there's maybe an hour to do both. Now I'm done with it. And then I can go cut the grass or something. Okay. So I go change mine first, 5 minutes. Belts off, belts on, no problem. I go to change hers. First, I can't get the tensioner pulley to release. I'm pulling. I got a breaker bar on this thing, and it's just an aluminum arm on the tensioner pulley, and it's flexing. I said, this thing gonna snap. It ain't moving. Like it's locked. So I said, all right, before I break anything, let me see if somebody's got something about it here on YouTube. Sure enough, I find one mechanic, and he had a pretty good video about changing the serpentine belt on this particular model. And he said that he was getting a lot of people asking, what's going on? Why won't the tensioner pulley move? So he explains that it's a hydraulic type tensioner. He says you got to put a breaker bar on there, keep some tension on it, but not enough to where you're going to snap the thing. And he says after 20, 30 seconds, it will release pressure and it will just drop out of the way. Well, sure enough, it did. So I seen that, and that was enough. I said, okay. I went back out. I put the bar on there, hold it. Sure enough, it released after about 20 seconds or so, and I said, okay. So I go to start fishing the belt out. I can't get it out. There's not enough room. There's like this much room between the engine and the fender well. I said, you got to be kidding me. So I'm looking. Now I could have just cut the belt and pulled it out. but I wanted to see how I was going to get it out so I could know how to get the new one in. So I'm looking and look. Well, you have to jack up the car. You have to pull the right front wheel off. You have to take the inner fender well out, which is plastic. And then you can get to the belt and you can fish it out and get the new one in. And then so long story short, it took me, I don't know, I think I took a little break in between, but it took like 2 hours to change the serpentine belt on this car. I said, this is stupid. This is crazy. I'm sure there's other cars the same way. But I never had a car where I had to pull the wheel off and pull the inner fender well out to do a job like this. Never. Ever. And I was a mechanic. All right. About a month later, she calls me up. She was out shopping. She says, the car won't start. I said, what? I said, try it again. Won't start. So she tells me where she's at, and I jump in my car, go down, I bring a few tools and a jack and stuff. And sure enough, it won't turn over. Well, I knew it was the starter, most likely. You know, the brushes wear out. So I jack it up, put a jack stand under it. I said, all right, get in it, turn the key like you're starting it. I said, I'm going to whack it, and if it starts up, leave it running. Don't shut it off. Well, it did. As soon as I whacked it, it took off, started up. I crawled out, let the car down. I said, don't turn it off driving home, and leave it running when we get home so I can bring it in the garage and get it set up. I got to change the starter. Okay, no problem. Get home. I'm looking at this thing. The starter's on the back side of the engine. You can't see it from the top. I get under the car, jack it up, and I'm looking. I can see it, and I can almost touch it, but there wasn't really a lot of room. So I said, well, let me see. Let me go online and see if there's what the manual says. The manual, the shop manual for this car says it's a 4-hour job, and you got to take the intake manifold off and access it from the top to change the starter motor. I said, you kidding me? I said, I'm not taking the damn... Then you'd have to buy a gasket set for the intake manifold. You'd have to drain the coolant. It'd make a big mess. To change the starter, 2 bolts and two wire connections, this is insanity. So I went to YouTube again. Found a video guy had. He says, here's how you can do it without having to take the manifold off. Well, yeah, I did it. And you're fighting the thing, and you're working from underneath. And I was on my back just with the car jacked up in the garage. But anyway, long story short, 4 hours for a trained mechanic to change the starter in a Honda Civic, little 4-cylinder. This is stupid. They could have easily put the starter on the front of the engine, or they could have put they could easily do it, make it to where you could get to it to change it without having to take the intake manifold off. Yeah, if you took the intake manifold off, yeah, you'd have all kinds of room because it's on the back side of the engine. You get it from the top. I understand. But like I said, then it's more money, more aggravation, more work. And I would imagine a shop probably, to change a starter in one of these cars, they probably charge $500. Maybe more, I don't know. I never called to ask, but... And most cars today is the same way. They're almost impossible to work on. One of my wife's nephews, he's a Toyota trained technician, and he's a young guy. He's only in his early 30s. He's ready to give up and say, screw this. He says, I'm tired. He says, every job is a pain in the ass. And they have all the special tools at the dealership he works for. But anyway, this is insanity. We need to make stuff where you can work on it yourself if you want to. Some people don't, but you should have the option. I mean, the automakers of the world, listen. People don't like what you're doing. You know, smarten up and make it to where the guy that owns the car can work on the car. That's all. Anyway, that's my 2 cents on the whole fixing your own car deal. I mean, it's stupid. They need to make it where the average guy can work on his own car if he wants to. Anyway, see you in the next one.